In the US, 4 black women and girls are killed every day. You actually heard me right there. I said every day.
I think it's time that we talk about what's happening in Kenya, and that's femicide and the dehumanization of women. Can somebody point me to the exact point in time when we normalized that killing is something men do from time to time?
3% of these women are black. In fact, black women are 4 times more likely than their white peers to be murdered by a lover.
I cannot say enough how jealous these men are of you. I cannot say
In the
enough
US, 4 black
how
women and
jealous
girls
these
are
men
killed
are of you.
every day.
Is a man.
You actually heard me right there.
Unalive men, women,
I
and children.
said every
And-
day.
Hi, black women are dying, and it seems that no one cares. If I told you black women in the US were on average 6 times more likely to be murdered than their white peers, would you believe me? You probably would, which is the scary part. I'm Mo, and we are going to be talking about black femicide in America, the intentional killing of black women and girls because of their race and their gender. Black femicide, if you are not aware, is a term that was coined by Rosa Page, an Arkansas-based nurse and founder of Black Femicide USA, a movement to raise awareness of the issue. This statistics was determined in a research study from 1999 to 2020 from an analysis of racial disparities in U.S. homicide rates by researchers at Columbia University Irving Medical Center and Columbia Mailman School of Public Health. Once more, black women are more likely than white women to be killed by guns.
This in turn makes black women not want to report domestic abuse, and this in turn drives up cases of domestic abuse. Perpetrators know that black women are unlikely to report because of the response they get. Therefore, more abuse, more murders.
To be even more precise, women aged 25 to 44, the ages at which women are most vulnerable to homicide. FBI data reveals a disturbing trend. Black women are far more likely to be murdered by someone they know. Approximately 1/3 of black femicide are committed by intimate partners or family members, while another 16% involves friends or acquaintances.
There is a lot of crime that goes on within our communities, and crime has risen, especially during the pandemic. Crime has risen, but like many things within our community, people just don't acknowledge it.
Do you think that there is anything policy-wise that can be done to bring that number down? Because it feels to me like, you know, that's not just a crisis, that's a crisis that's happening that is almost not almost, but it's underreported. You know, if somebody was dying of, I can't even say that in the pandemic anymore, but I feel like the fact that it's this amount every single day means that there should be policy action. What should those policies be?
I specifically am looking to legislation to be put in place that addresses the violence within our communities. Specifically, much like the legislation that has been brought forth for the missing and murdered Indigenous women, that is really my mission and goal.
Not convinced? Here is showing a table comparison of 1999 to 2020, black women versus white women in terms of black femicide. Year 1999, black women 11.6%, white women 1999 2.9%. 2020, black women 11.16%, white women 2020 3.0%. What is the reason for this? Why are black women dying at such rapid rates? What is to blame? Or should I say, who is to blame? Structural racism emerges as a key factor driving these disparities due to the unfortunate legacy plagued upon Black people due to slavery. Slavery contributes to the concentrated disadvantaged parts of the country. These areas are characterized by high proportions of people of low socioeconomic status and are also where Black Lives Matter protests have been the most prominent. Due to the unfortunate legacy plagued upon Black people in America due to slavery, gun deaths among Black and white women in the U.S. have increased over time, with Black women disproportionately being affected. In 2020, Black women were 3 times more likely in the Northeast and over 6 times more likely in the Midwest to be killed by firearm compared to their white counterparts.
Theories on domestic violence.
When women are murdered, the killer, more often than not, is their intimate partner. But that's not all the report revealed. 5 on Your Side investigator Sarah Buddison is here to tell us tonight which women are most at risk.
Danita, the CDC report reviewed murders in 18 states over 18 years. It
found Black women are twice as likely to be murdered as women of other races.
So we asked why.
He came in with the intention to kill me.
It was a cold October night,
but it all backfired.
When Sonia Garth's ex-husband showed up at her door.
When he shot me, she jumped up to save her mother.
So Rufus Gray turned his gun on his stepdaughter.
And he shot her.
The bullet struck 12-year-old Davia dead.
And all I can hear in my mind is that he shot me, Mommy.
It's very dangerous to leave an intimate partner violence relationship.
Let's take a step into the Wayback Machine, where femicide for Black women were at some of its worst. As you recall, 2020 is known for being the COVID era that set a lot of people back financially and in other ways as well. Today we're going to be talking about how it affected Black women. During the COVID-19 pandemic, domestic violence became a pandemic within a pandemic, with many victims facing the added pressure of increased economic insecurity, increased time in isolation with their abusers, and limited contact with their support networks. Already, we are aware that helping domestic violence survivors escape from an abusive partner can be challenging at any time. But doing that during an entire pandemic was an entirely different thing to navigate. Advocacy groups like the Black Femicide Prevention Coalition strive to spread awareness about this epidemic. To date, this quote said by Malcolm X still holds so much impact to this day. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. May 22nd, 1962, Malcolm X. Over 60 years later, such a statement still holds today. Economic independence plays a significant role in how women respond to domestic violence. Given that Black women are disproportionately working in low-paying jobs and have less access to economic self-reliance, their opportunities to leave abusive relationships and/or house environments are diminished. And where are Black women's access to protection? Why don't Black women just go to the police? Well, protection has been jeopardized by police violence against their communities. Often, Black women feel unsafe to seek state protection because they fear consequences of police interventions for themselves, being abused by police, being arrested, or killed, or for their abusers. These women are also asked to stay silent by their own communities, or they receive little to no support from their communities at large, often justified by the notion that speaking up for help, especially from the state, contributes to the stigmatization of Black communities in general, and Black men in particular, as violent. There are so many Black women who die each and every day due to Black femicide. Here's some examples. Rickard Kelly and April Kelly. Kelly posted a Facebook Live confession right before executing his wife, with shooting her in the head, later turning the gun on himself. The couple was found dead in their home on Brittany Point, a subdivision located west of the city limits, just north of Georgia, Highway 78. Or how about Charmaine Goodloe, another black woman murdered? Goodloe was sitting in a breezeway of an apartment building with a friend just before midnight when shots were fired from the parking lot. She was rushed to Vanderbilt where she died. She was shot multiple times. Before, she died by an ex-boyfriend and survived only later to be killed by multiple gunshots a year later in Nashville, Tennessee. It hurts to know that 50 rounds were shot at this 34-year-old black woman at the time, all because he could not let go. There are so many other black women out there who have been murdered and killed due to black femicide. And one channel that discusses all of these cases in detail is a YouTube channel called Black Girl Unlost, providing details, names, faces to these tragedies of fellow black women. Already, I have discussed many negatives concerning black femicide and the horrors of the epidemic. However, I also want to discuss some solutions to remedy the chances of black femicide occurring to you, to a friend, a loved one, a family member, or whoever you may know of risk of this. Sometimes early detection can go a long way. In black femicide, safety planning and risk management training can reduce the risk of femicide and other harm. Awareness, such as this video, serves great purposes. Engaging in advocacy is crucial. Advocates often use their efforts to protest every time women or a girl is murdered. This would benefit black women greatly, as we know they are seldom ever seen as a victim. Instead, they are seen as deserving of harm, unable to be harmed even. Perpetuates a long legacy of impunity for violence against black women, girls. And even when black women defend themselves against their abuser, they are too at risk of incarceration. Like Alexis Martin was only 15 years old when she was accused of setting up a robbery that led to the death of her exploiter, a 32-year-old man who forced her into the drug and sex trade. Even though she was not directly involved in the death of her abuser, she was tried as an adult and sentenced to 21 years to life in prison in 2015.
Another story that just breaks my heart. So we've arranged for a meeting for Alexis and I in prison, and I really want to understand everything that Alexis has been through and hopefully be able to figure out what really can be done. Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like? Okay. I grew up in Akron, Ohio.
And how about Satoya Brown, who was only 16 years old when she shot and killed a man who picked her up for sex? Satoya said that she feared for her life when the 43-year-old man took her back to his home and showed her his gun collection. At her trial, the prosecution argued that Satoya's motive was robbery, not self-defense. Satoya was tried as an adult and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole until she served 51 years. And though these may have less to do with femicide and more to do with black women in the legal system, a whole nother video in its entirety, it provides even more context as to why many black women may be hesitant when it comes to coming forward because their life may be taken away from them. I want black women to live a long, healthy, happy life without it being taken away from them so early and recklessly due to ignorance and violence. If you have watched this far, I'm hoping you do too. Thanks so much for watching this video, and until the next video essay, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.